Texas nurses, if you've been charged with a DWI, you might be wondering how your license might be affected. Stick around and you can find out. Hey y'all, Rob here, founder of ATX Legal, and today we're going to be talking about just that. If you've gotten a DWI and you're a registered nurse, how is that going to impact your license? Now, quick caveat before we get started, of course, this is not legal advice. It's for educational purposes only, but we do have a contact form below if you would like legal advice on your particular issue. Another big caveat is this does not apply to felonies, so if you've been charged with a felony DWI, and that's a DWI third or more, or it has other extenuating factors, you're going to want to contact an attorney immediately, and a lot of this is not going to apply to you. But of course, the most common DWI charge is a misdemeanor, so that's going to apply to 90% of people. Now, we first got to define some terms, because a DWI charge is not a conviction. You're still innocent until you've been proven guilty either by a jury or if you've pled guilty in a court of law. But if you've just been charged with a DWI, you have that DWI charge and arrest and a pending case, but not a conviction yet. And that distinction is very important. And the big distinction between the criminal case and any issues you're having with your nursing license is that you will be provided an attorney in the criminal case, whether you hire one or get a public defender, but you're not entitled to a lawyer to defend your nursing license. Therefore, it's very important to tell your criminal attorney that you're having these license issues, because that can have a big impact on how he handles the criminal case. Now, one of the first questions I get is, do I need to report this DWI to the Board of Nursing? Now, with a DWI charge, you do not. If it's a pending case that has not become a conviction, you don't have to report that to the board, but you will have to report any DWI convictions if that happens down the road. Now, when you do renew your license, or if you're applying for a license, you do need to note the pending DWI, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you'll necessarily be rejected, or it doesn't mean your license will be suspended. The Board of Nursing can take action on any crime that they consider affects the field of nursing. So if it affects your nursing practice, they could potentially take action on it. The board has a list of crimes and charges that they could potentially take action on. And if you click the blog link, there will be a link to that list that the board publishes. And DWI is on that list. And you might be thinking, how does a DWI possibly affect your nursing practice? And the connection there is going to be with substance abuse. And specifically, they're looking at multiple instances of substance abuse. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means the DWI alone is probably not going to be a reason for the board to take any kind of action against your nursing license. However, if there are other factors that combined tend to indicate a substance abuse issue, the board is more likely to take action, and they're going to take all of those different indicators together, put that all into a violation that could potentially become a formal violation and a formal charge. And some examples of some other instances that indicate substance abuse could be failed drug tests that are on record. It could be previous DWIs, of course. It could also be a previous possession of marijuana charge or a possession of controlled substance charge. Any of these things that are on the record that the board can find and point to as multiple instances of substance abuse could count against you, and then it could lead to an investigation and potentially a violation. But the DWI alone is probably not enough. Of course, every case is different. If there are some crazy facts like you got the DWI while you were leaving work, that could be a big red flag, and they're going to be investigating that because it would indicate that you were actually intoxicated at work. If there have been reports that you've been intoxicated at work from other nurses or other staff at the hospital or your place of work, then that could also be another red flag that causes them to investigate and potentially find violations. Now, another big question people have is, do they need to report it to their employer? And the answer to that is not by law. However, your employer might have a clause in their contract where you're supposed to report. And if they do regular criminal background checks, they're going to find out anyway. So in some cases, it might be beneficial to go ahead and be proactive and report that to your employer, but you're not required to by law. And there are certainly cases where you do not want to report it to your employer. So it does go on a case-by-case basis. Now, you might be wondering, at what stage do I need to think about representation for my nursing license? Well, first, you're going to want to talk to your criminal attorney and take their advice. If they are concerned about your nursing license and they don't handle those issues, they may want to refer you to a nursing license defense attorney like ATX Legal to handle that nursing law issue. Next, if you do receive that letter that an investigation has been instigated and they're requesting your input, it would be beneficial for you, A, to respond to that, but B, only after you've spoken with an attorney. I don't advise anyone to respond to the nursing board without the advice of an attorney. I've seen too many cases where they've either responded emotionally because their livelihood is on the line, or they've incriminated themselves in some other way, or they just haven't responded in the way that the board really wants you to respond. So if you are responding to the board, I would advise you to at least seek a consult with an attorney, if not get an attorney to write that letter for you. And that's the stage that you really do want representation for your nursing license. ATX Legal has been handling criminal defense for 8 years. We started our professional license defense in January of 2023, and it's amazing how similar these two areas of law are. In both cases, you have the government trying to take away freedoms. In the case of criminal law, we're talking about taking away their actual freedom and putting them in custody. And with your nursing license, it's your freedom to make a living and for that livelihood. So very important rights on both sides, on the criminal law side and the professional license defense side. And in both cases, you can have that oppressive government taking away those rights, sometimes justified and sometimes not, but you're going to want to have an advocate on your side either way. So again, not legal advice, but you can contact us at the contact form below and you can speak with an attorney. It's a no-cost consultation. So if you have been charged with the DWI, I would encourage you to take advantage of that, give us a call, or fill out that contact form.